Hello everyone and welcome to a wonderful game from the final round of the second day of the FIDE World Rapid Championship, meaning that is round 9. It is Rauf Mamedov versus Andrey Esipenko, and this game is so short and so abruptly ends, you will not believe it. You will not believe such a thing is even possible in the Ruy Lopez, but you know, that is the way of chess. And with so many games being played in this championship, like I said, like 170 players, I don't want to trick you guys. I'm going to check how many players there actually is. 178 players. Some incredible games are bound to happen, and with that Dubov game we've just seen, time to check out another crazy one. So Rauf Mamedov has the white pieces and he opens with pawn to e4. We have pawn to e5, knight f3, knight to c6, and as advertised, the Ruy Lopez, bishop to b5. We have a6, Esipenko goes for Morphy's defense, bishop to a4, and knight to f6 now. And here mostly played are castles or d3 or d4 or even queen to e2, but knight to c3 is somewhat rarer, but not very like incredibly rare. It's the Tarrasch variation or the three knights of the Morphy's defense. And now we have pawn to b5, so very standard Ruy Lopezian moves. We have bishop to c5, and now okay, what do you play here? You can see that there are some tricks here, like the e4 pawn is weak, the bishop here is very strong, so you might imagine something like d3 being played or castles being played, but nope. Here Rauf plays knight to d5, and already you should feel that the e4 pawn should not be capturable. Like there's no way you can capture this and come out alive from this. I mean, unless you're thinking that white blundered on move 7 in a World Chess Championship, which okay does happen, but that's exactly what Esipenko played here. He played knight captures on e4, and it is now as of move 7 that we have a completely new game. But believe it or not, it's not that easy to take advantage of this. Okay, the f2 pawn is hanging, so how do you defend? Obviously, you could castle, or you could play pawn to d4, which was played in the game. And now this is the problem. If Esipenko doesn't know this by heart, then he will have to calculate all of this. And probably he thought that no way this works when he captured on e4 with the knight. But look at this. If you play e captures on d4, then the problem is, okay, you're gonna castle, black's gonna castle. Obviously black wants to castle to safety as soon as possible, as he snatched some material. Rook to e1, the knight is attacked. Okay, you go back knight to f6 and bishop to g5. And how are you defending this? If bishop to e7, you even gladly give up the exchange. Rook captures, knight captures on f6, g captures, and bishop captures. And it's a matter of very simple queen to d2 to g5 or h6, and you're going to checkmate the black king. For example, queen to e8, if you want to unpin to maybe get the knight into the game, just queen to c1. And if knight now... if you play knight to g6, then just queen to h6, and if you play knight to f5 to prevent queen to h6, then queen to g5, check, and that's it. You have to block with the knight, and this will be checkmate. So e captures on d4 does not work. So what else can you play? You can move the bishop, and the best way to play is to move the bishop to a7. Or no, best way to play would be to capture on d4 with the bishop, but this also means parting with the bishop pair. And when you grab a pawn, you part with the bishop pair, you instinctively feel that your opponent does have compensation for the pawn. But it would be best. Bishop captures, knight captures, knight captures. Now you play queen to g4, put pressure on g7 and on the knight here. And even after castles, you don't go for the knight, you play bishop to h6. You threaten checkmate here, and after knight to e6, defending checkmate, now you play queen captures on e4, g captures on h6, and you get this extremely crazy position where, okay, white will capture on e5. The material is equal. Or rather, black is up a pawn, but black's pawn structure is much worse than white's. And let's say after queen to g5, offering a queen trade, black defends. White is somewhat better, but let's say knight to f6, you can always play king to g7 and win back your pawn. You open up a discovery, queen captures, knight captures, and now it's equal material. White's pawn structure is better. White is better, but black will be able to fight. So that's what happens if play captures on d4 and if you play bishop captures on d4. So the other option is bishop to a7, and in the game bishop back to e7 was played, and this also feels to be the correct idea. Like bishop to a7 just seems too greedy, leaving your bishop on this strong diagonal. So bishop to e7 is always well, almost always considered a very strong defensive idea, but here it just doesn't work. And here white just castles, black castles, and now rook to e1 attacks the knight. And how do you defend? You can't play f5 or anything like that, because then all sorts of knight jumps become possible, like knight captures on e7, a double check from the knight and the bishop. So you have to figure out something else. If you go back knight to f6, then just knight captures on e7, queen captures, and now let's say d captures on e5. White is having an excellent game. So instead, after rook to e1, knight to d6 was played, but now knight captures on e5, bishop to f6, and now pawn to c3, and now knight to f5. Here, whatever black plays, black's position is so bad, and it doesn't really matter what black plays, he will not be able to save this game. Knight to f5 was played, and now comes the move from the thumbnail, and that is knight captures on f7. It's not the only winning idea, like queen to g4 wins, knight captures on f6 wins, knight captures on f7 wins, so pretty much any move with a piece here wins, but this is the nicest way to do it. Knight captures on f7, and now if you capture with the king, we're not even gonna analyze that, but if you capture with the rook, which was played in the game, now there is only, well, there are a couple of very good moves, but there is one crushing move for white. So feel free to pause the video and try to find this idea while I give you a couple of seconds. So for those of you who were able to do it, congratulations on finishing the game in only 14 moves. That's right, we are only on move 13. And for those of you who just want to enjoy the show, it is knight captures on f6 with check. This is what Rauf played, and he was in this position on move 14 that Andrey Esipenko resigned the game, as there is nothing more to be done here. The problem is, if queen captures, then rook e8 is mate in 1. The rook, of course, is pinned by the bishop. You can't move. If you can't capture with the rook, we've already covered that, and your only other option is to capture with the g-pawn, and that also doesn't give you all the... Okay, that's not your only other option. You could also play king to f8, but then look at this. You can't go to the e-file, just knight captures on h7, check, king g8, and now you play queen to h5, and now the rook is hanging. What do you play? You can play d5, you block the light square bishop, but now even bishop captures on d5. Absolutely incredible stuff. And now if queen captures, again, rook to e8 with check, rook f8, and rook captures will be checkmate. So that's if you really don't want to capture. But in the game, after knight what could be played after knight captures on f6, g captures on f6, the only other option that we haven't covered would be met with bishop captures on f7, king captures, and now white just collects the material. Queen h5 check, king to g8, queen captures on f5, and even though you're only down by a pawn here as black, sorry, not down by a pawn and by an exchange, there's no way you can play this. You can't move the d pawn, like if d6, then queen to d5 check picks up the knight. Even if d5 sort of to get back into the game, it's a very just easy win, like queen to f3, and now if you try to get the bishop into the game, bishop to h6. And again, there's nothing you can move here. It's just incredibly bad. If knight e7, you can even play rook captures on d5 and pick up the rook on a8. So it's pointless to even analyze this. So that's why after knight captures on f6, Esipenko resigned, and a spectacular victory for Rauf Mamedov in this really cool line of the Ruy Lopez. Here you can see this knight to d5. I mean, this is something that you will see, and I almost exclusively do this in bullet games and in blitz games. But here in a World Rapid Championship, you just don't expect something like this to be possible. But still, he went for the pawn. He knows that he probably shouldn't, but he never saw the position. I believe he just thought that maybe Rauf was just being overly ambitious and that he will be able to just snatch the pawn and castle to safety. But no, the game concluded extremely quickly in only 14 moves. Sorry, that didn't happen. Knight captures on f6, and there he resigned. So incredible stuff. And as this was a game from the final round, I will also show you guys the standings. Let me just check if I have them ready. Yeah, these are the sort of the standings of several players. Let me just fix that a little bit. Yeah, what is this? Something weird. Ah, okay. There we go. Yeah, these are the standings via Chess24 Twitter. So as you can see, Magnus in sole first place with 7.5 points, and shared second place Vladimir Fedosev, Nodirbek Abdusatov, and Vincent Keimer. Then with 6.5 you have Daniil Dubov, Arjun Ergesi, Vladislav Artemiev, Anish Giri, Yuangi, Fabiano Caruana, Nihal Sarin, Yang Krzysztof Duda, Giga Kuparadze, who lost to Magnus Carlsen in the final round. Otherwise, he would also be much further. Haik Martirosyan, Yan Nepomniachtchi, Evgeny Tomashevsky, Alexander Grishuk, Rauf Mamedov, Alexei Sarana, and Shahriar Mamedyarov. So those are the top 20 currently. There are 4 more rounds that will be played tomorrow. So we'll see if Magnus will be able to maintain this incredible pressure towards his opponents, or will someone else be able to overtake him. It will be a great day for chess. So yeah, that's the game. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Be careful when snatching those pawns. I would like to thank Ben Edwards, Lars Oliver Groundheba, Jeff Graves, David Rice Oxley, and Kevin Clark for your contribution to my channel. Thank you a lot. I really appreciate it. As usual, you can check 2 of my previous videos here. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you soon, continuing the coverage of this spectacular event until it finishes. Thank you all. I will see you soon, and have an excellent rest of your day.